Hey, welcome back to Mobility Project. I'm in Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and I'm going to write a little love letter to one of my spooky friends who talked to me today about having some kind of creaky knee issues. We often get athletes asking about crepitus. Is crepitus a problem? Well, normal joints don't make a lot of noise. You know, typically we just kind of blow off noise as just, hey, bad mechanics, it's not painful, but it tells me about something going on about the kind of the quality of the sliding tissues, what I need to go. So here's my little checklist. Beautiful Mind Edition. 1, am I hydrated? So I got to make sure I've got enough H2O on board. Remember, we say half body weight in ounces, or roughly 1 ounce per kilo body weight. And this is your baseline for what you need to be drinking. The problem with this is that if you're not getting enough salts in there, make sure you're adding that salt. So plus salts, either a pinch, but you got to get some of those electrolytes in there. So that's first. Second, some of the physicians I work with often recommend glucosamine. Glucosamine, so this will be number 1. Number 2, glucosamine. Glucosamine. This is a glucosaminoglycan. And basically, it's a salt that gets pulled into the tissues, the articular surfaces. That salt pulls and attracts more water to the area, and then we get a better kind of rounder surface, especially for athletes who sometimes have some arthritis. This can help. Follow the recommendations by the over-the-counter drug people. If you're a responder, you'll respond. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's worth putting out there, and some of the physicians I respect talk about it. So glucosamine. Second, third, as we start to work up and downstream of this thing, we need to kind of buy slack to the system. And one of the things we go for suprapatellar pouch. Suprapatellar pouch. That suprapatellar pouch is that space right above your knee. And in surgery, when we see an arthritic knee, what they'll do is they'll kind of open up this pouch. This is a big opening, gets matted down. They'll clean out the gutters. And so really what we're trying to do is create space around that tight joint. Usually that creaky joint can be an overtension. So suprapatellar pouch, I think, man, immediately rectus femoris high quads can be the culprit. Obviously, I'm working on my mechanics. So I look at quads. I need to look 5 is kind of high calf. So high calf, and what I'm talking about is gastroc there, right behind it, below where it kind of crosses the knee here. One of the things, and then finally, number 6 is just a simple recipe of kind of our MobRrx for this, is we're going to call it flexion gapping. Flexion gapping. And then 7, and I'll show you what that looks like. 7 is going to be just what we call, it's a mulligan technique to kind of restore QUE, that motion. So we've got 1, am I drinking enough water? Am I on it? If I can do it. Adding some electrolyte. 2, the glucosamine might take a month. Suprapatellar pouch, open that up. Make sure my quads are open. High calf, flexion gap into the knee, and the mulligan technique. So this is what it looks like. So we're on the water. There we go. Make sure I'm drinking enough water. Sort it out. I'm on it. Number 2, the glucosamine. I'm not taking glucosamine. I'm young and fabulous. Supple leopards don't need glucosamine. 3, suprapatellar pouch means I take the ball right in the area here around the top of the knee, and I pump and stretch. So on my stomach, that ball goes right here, and I'm going to just go right above that knee as close as I can to the patella, right up abutted against the patella, and then I'm going to tack. And a hard ball, you might need some kind of one of your friends, a super friend, to push on the back of your knee, but I just want to clear open that thing, and it's actually looks like a tack and stretch. Tack and try to pull that tissue back. We're trying to open up the space. And that literally changes the mechanics of the patella. Optimizing vertical shin, of course, is an important part of that. Then we look at quads. So obviously couch stretch is a good one here. Anything that kind of opens up that anterior hip, especially that rectus femoris, since it adds so much compression in there. High calf. Take that ball, and I'm going to put it right in the gastroc here, and I'm just going to crank back and forth. And one of the reasons this gastroc is so important is that if I'm missing terminal knee extensions, it means I can't hyperextend my knee 1 or 2 degrees. I can't ever really lock or unlock my leg. My leg stays bent all the time, and it's always under tension. So that's why you kind of stretch the calf, but working on some of those high tissues. And we've done it where you slide in. Watch out for this big neurovascular bundle back here, but you can see this is my hamstring coming back down here. Calf also crosses in there. You're going to kind of catch 2 for 1, and I can roll that leg in and out and trap some of that business. Also kind of sneak forward on it, roll back in and out. That can make a big difference. Flexion gapping. I'm at the hotel. I'll grab the towel. I stick it behind my knee here, And just like that ball, except I'm just going to close that joint. So this is going to be a large enough towel that I can actually feel a little stretch. And you can actually see this kind of line of stretching as I create gapping force in the knee. And I'm just stretching out the front of the caps a little bit, which kind of tends to get a little bit short and ropey in some of my high mileage athletes. And then the other thing, of course, is you can always put that thing in a gap of your knee and then close down on it and sit. And you're going to just get a little stretch in the front of the knee. You're not going to hurt the knee, but just oscillate back and forth. And then, of course, be sure to test, retest. Otherwise, we don't know what's going on. And finally, the mulligan techniques. Let's see if I can do this. We balance the phone here. So we got that. And what I do is I grab the leg as we, sorry about that. As we tend to squat or run and turn the foot out a little bit, having a hard time focusing here, as we tend to run and need to turn the foot out a little bit, that leg collapses, and you can see what happens with the tibia here, that the femur isn't moving at all, but the tibia moves a ton. And what ends up happening is that the tibia ends up staying in an opened position, and it's rotated, and so now my patella is pulling off axis, and I get all this off axial loading. This is why the squatting, trying to straighten that foot up in that realm of, what we say is kind of 7 to 10 degrees. So open that up. Make sure the mechanics are straight so everything's kind of pulling in a straight line. It's one of the reasons we try to get straight again. But then what I'll do is I'll hold here, and then sometimes I just need to restore that motion so I can just twist back into resistance a little bit, or I'll block and I'll just run over to the side. And just make sure that I don't have kind of a squeaky bit there. Just nice and easily oscillate, and it's just no different than kind of creating a little motion there. So mulligan technique, just grabbing the shin, trying to rotate it in back into a closed position, because I'm really good at this open position, but the closed position sometimes gets a little stiff on our athletes. That's what's going on. Good luck. Beautiful mind style. Fort Bragg tomorrow, some strong kids. We'll see you tomorrow. I think Donnie Thompson's coming around. See what we can get up to with him. Take care.